I feel like, okay, this feels more like it's more demonic possession type thing, even like an Evil Dead movie. Creepy little girl, she's running up the walls, she's throwing up. I mean, the only thing that was missing was her urinating on herself. All right, people. Let's get into our next review, and that is going to be for Lee Cronin's The Mummy here. In this new Mummy film, a new kind of adaptation of the Mummy, reimagining of the Mummy franchise here. This isn't maybe the Mummy we reviewed here that people are used to with Brendan Fraser, more swashbuckling action adventure Indiana Jones type of Mummy. This is more horror based, and it's from the director, like I said, written and directed by Lee Cronin. People might know he did Evil Dead Rise, which I was a big fan of, loved quite a bit there. And in this movie, a little bit of a different take, maybe than people are familiar with. So in this, you have actor there, Jack Reynor, who people might know. He was in Midsommar. He was in that. He plays Charlie, who's a reporter there, and he has a wife there, Laia Costa, who's the actress, and then Larissa Cannon there, who's a nurse. And they have a daughter there. They have a daughter by the name of Katie there, who went missing. They lived in Cairo. She went missing. Then 8 years later, she has returned now. And something is off, to say the least, with that. And we see kind of that happen there when they bring her back home after being missing for so long. And we see what effects have been done to her being gone. So I'm kind of being a little vague because I don't want to spoil too much of what goes on in the movie and how it kind of operates there. But they also have a detective who was working the case there as well, who was missing, who was looking for Katie there, who's working with the family. May Calloway Calloway there, who people might know. She was in Moon Knight there. She was in that series with Oscar Isaac. And with this movie, I could say this is maybe my first big disappointment of the year, I would say. Like I said, I loved Evil Dead Rise quite a bit. Looking forward to see what he would do next in his movie there. And I like the trailers for this. It's like, okay, that's a different interpretation of the Mummy. I'm used to something like the Brendan Fraser version of the Mummy there. I haven't seen Boris Karloff's The Mummy. So it's a little bit of different there. And I'm not sure. I don't think I really came in here with an expectation of like, oh, this is what a Mummy movie should be, and it should be this type of thing. But it's like, I feel like, okay, this feels more like it's kind of like Bring Her Back, which was that movie from the Philippou brothers there. It's more demonic possession type thing, even like an Evil Dead movie. Even like Exorcist there with the creepy little girl. She's running up the walls, she's throwing up. I mean, the only thing that was missing was her urinating on herself. And that was kind of the only thing that was really missing there from it. But it follows, again, a lot of those similar things of demonic possession movies there that you have with that. And I was kind of like, okay, you're not really doing anything that kind of all that new and, inventive with it. Like the Philippou brothers, they've done 2 demonic possession movies in Talk to Me and in Bring Her Back, which I thought added a good kind of spin and inventive flavor to it that didn't just make it feel like traditional movies like Exorcist or anything like that, which I thought was very good and very, it's why I praise Talk to Me a lot. So yeah, but what are your thoughts, Nick, on The Mummy? Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Yeah, Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I like this one. I think Cronin, he's really coming into his own as a filmmaker. He's kind of establishing what is his style, especially how he's using, like, we see it a lot in the trailer, the split diopter. He like found one technique that he likes using, and just using it over and over and over again. But besides that, I feel like as a writer, he really is fascinated with weaponizing what we think of as like the traditional family. Like in Evil Dead Rise, he's like going into what a parent's love for their children and weaponizing that. And here it's the other way around, with like, what if the child is being used for that, and seeing the kind of helplessness grow from both Jack Reynor and Laia Costa. I thought that worked really well, if in the performances from both of them, if nothing else. This movie, it is very much not the Brendan Fraser version of this story. This is much closer to something like Bring Her Back or The Evil Dead than it is with the 1999 Mummy.
Okay, very nice there. Yeah, so I like that it was, like I said, something different there. And when you look at this movie, if you don't know, you go like, man, he's really good, and it's like this guy should do an Evil Dead movie. And it's like, okay, yeah, he did, and it seems like he brought that
Well,
same
let
kind
me
of sense.
tell you something.
Yeah, I got good news for you. He did one,
He did
and it
one,
was
and it was awesome.
it was really a lot of fun there. And this movie, I mean, it has a lot of good fun moments, and especially the
Mm,
third act. I think the third act works,
mm.
really well,
Yeah,
and it.
yeah, yeah, even if I wasn't vibing it with it for, I'd say the middle of the second act is, where I think this movie drags a lot, where it is laying a lot of the groundwork for the mystery. I liked that element of it. I just wish it was a little bit better paced. But the third act for me is where this really sings, especially with when it gets to the climax of the movie and what Lee Cronin is trying to say with this movie.
Mm, yeah. So you kind of got that. And it's a longer movie. It's over 2
Mhm,
hours. So it's a little bit longer. And then also with this, I think it really depends on how much you connect with the family.
mhm.
I didn't really connect with the family all that much. I thought it just feels like very much like stock kind of family and everything like that. So I didn't really all that much connect with them. But I guess it will vary, I guess, person to person how much they do with that. And then also the whole kind of thing of like, because when they find their daughter and then the hospital, they
Mhm.
call them and go like, okay, we found your daughter. And then what she looks like, you'd be like, no, I don't think she's ready to come home. I mean, I get that. I mean that you've missed her, and it's been 8 years, and like I said, the mother's a
It's
nurse.
I I kind of because before I saw the movie, I had that exact same like critique. It's like, yeah, I don't care how long a kid has been missing. If they look like that, maybe stay in the hospital for a couple more days.
Because the girl's all like bent and
She's like
contorted, and
bent, distorted. She's catatonic for like most of the first part when they bring her home.
yeah. So I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know about this. I think maybe you should, yeah, kind of keep it there. I guess the hospital they knew what the problem was. Like, man, get her ass up out of here.
It was like, let's pass it off on these fucking people.
Yeah, like we got to get her ass. She's cursed. She's kind of evil there. What did you think about the element of like kind of like demonic possession kind of being an element? Do you think that takes away from it being more of like a mummy movie there, you think?
Uh, in some way, I do think that. I feel like the movie, it kind of wants to have its cake and eat it too a little bit with it wants to be a reimagining of the mummy in that it's about this kind of fear of the unknown and fear of the dead. And with Cronin, what I feel like he does best is taking a lot of that fear and bringing it onto a more personal level. So I feel like that was kind of where he wanted to have his cake and eat it too. But just if I was watching this not as a hardcore fan of the mummy and just watching this as a demon possession film, I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Mm, okay. Yeah, like I said, I don't know exactly. Maybe I don't think I had any expectations of like, oh, this should be what a mummy
Mhm.
movie is there. But it just seems like okay, well, you could have just done a other regular. I mean, you could have done your own demon possession movie and not called it the mummy there with it. Um, and then what did you think about a lot of the kind of? So you were really interested in the family. You did like a lot of that. Did you like
Mhm.
a lot of the actors in the movie?
Yeah, I think Jack Reynor, he's one of the more underrated actors that we've had in the like last couple of years. I really loved his performance in this and also in a movie he did a couple years ago with not just Midsummer but with Sing Street, which was back in 2016. That was like best supporting actor worthy, and I wish we could see a lot more of stuff like that from him.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think, and of course, it follows like a traditional horror movie thing where because he's a reporter, he does
Mhm.
a lot of the investigating. So he goes and tries to figure out like what's happening with her, and he goes to somebody who gives him the lore dump. So he gives him the whole explanation of like, oh, this
Yeah,
is why this is happening
yeah,
and what's going on.
yeah, and that's Mark Mitchinson was uh who was in Ash versus the Evil Dead and was also the voice of the father on the tapes in Evil Dead Rise.
Okay. Yeah. Nice there. So you had that. So yeah, I could say that. I mean, like I said, the climax is really good. I mean, it's
Mhm.
crazy. It's a lot of fun. And what kind of happens there, even leading up to the climax, I think a little bit of like all the third act is a good time there. But with this, it's kind of like everything. before that, I don't think is that interesting.
Mhm.
Like I said, it is kind of just your basic demonic possession film. Um, in kind of element there. And I don't think he does anything to really rise above that, which is a shame there. So for me, I just kind of would give it I'd give it like a stream it. Like I
Mhm.
said, I think I still had fun with it towards the end of the movie. I still had fun with it. What about for you?
For me, I was with it the whole time. I liked the performances from this, from our cast, from Jack Reynor and Laia Costa, even Natalie Grace. Even though she's under like heavy prosthetics for a majority of the movie, I really dug her performance as our titular mummy. The mystery, it kept me intrigued and kept giving me enough breadcrumbs to keep me going all the way up to the third act, which the whole climax of this movie, it is awesome. If you know, Evil Dead Rise, that was one of my favorites from the year it came out. A lot of what Cronin did filmmaking wise, I feel like he's expanded on his bag of tricks, but he's still sticking close to his favorites. But I had a great time with this. I would give this kind of a lower stream it, depending on like your tolerance for gore, which is where this one is really putting its emphasis on. It might turn you off, but I had fun with it. I'm a fucking sicko though.
Yeah. And then, it's cool moments, cool things that happens there. There's a funeral sequence that happens that's really funny.
That
Um,
was
there's something that happens with vocal cords that's really cool. That's a really great
ooh,
moment.
that was metal as fuck.
So yeah, there's some really fun. It's like, yeah, man, like just do another Evil Dead movie. Just do another one, and you'll be fine. Yeah. So I give it a stream it. You give it also like a higher stream it though. You give it like
I'm like low. I'm on the low tune in scale.
low tune in. Okay, gotcha. All right, so that was our review for Lee Cronin's The Mummy. There.